or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk about Flaaffy. I mean, there is a new Amfrost. We'll mention the new Amfrost, I suppose. Yeah, Amfrost, woo. But no, ladies and gentlemen, today it is all about Flaaffy. We love Flaaffy. Also, when was the last time you tried spelling Flaaffy without looking or cheating? That is a weird Pokemon's name to actually spell. We've never really gotten excited about a Flaaffy before. To my knowledge, memory, etc., I don't think we've ever really had a particularly good or interesting Flaaffy before. Certainly not for as long as I've been playing, and that's been over a decade at this stage. But I'll tell you something for nothing now, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a new Flaaffy, and this new Flaaffy is extremely exciting. Proper job exciting. It's electric, alright? Like, it's genuinely electric. I'm not going like, oh, it's kind of like electric. It's kind of similar to electric. No, I am saying it, well, okay, fine. Except for the name and the artwork and the basic from which it evolves, it is electric. It's got 90 HP. It's got a retreat cost of 2. It's got a weakness to fighting. It's got an attack for 2 lightning and 1 colorless energy that does 50 damage. And it's got an ability that attaches a lightning energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. It is electric. Except for the fact that it evolves from a different basic and has a different name and artwork. It is a proper job actual reprint. Except, and I don't think I'm the only one that thinks this. I would wager I'm in the majority when I say this. Come on, Flaaffy's cooler than the electric, right? Like, does anyone actually like electric other than people who played electric decks back in the day and have a fondness because of it? I mean, my name is Ross, and electric evolves into Electros, and I still think Flaaffy is cooler. Sorry if that sounds a little bit mean. Seriously though, this is an important card. I mean, look, straight off the back, electric, for the entire time it was legal, was one of the very best cards in the game. If you weren't playing when electric was legal, maybe you remember the Metal Bronzong, which was at the center of several really good winning decks because you could accelerate a metal energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Or if you're a newer player again, maybe you remember Malamar. That being the Malamar that accelerates a psychic energy from your discard pile to one of your benched Pokemon, and was, for the entire time it was legal, one of the best cards in the game. And when I first saw Malamar, I described it as psychic electric. It makes me genuinely sad that a bunch of people are going to look at this new Flaaffy and call it Lightning Malamar, when in fact it is just the re-emergence of electric. It's a stage 1 Pokemon that sits on the bench and accelerates lightning energy. And I've been telling you that when we hit the rotation, lightning decks aren't going to be as good. And there are many reasons for this. Pikachu and Zekrom, there's going to be what it has been for a long time, the best lightning Pokemon, is rotating. Tapu Koko, that accelerates 2 lightning energy super easily from the discard, is rotating, and we're just not going to have the support and the love we need. Well, Flaaffy's coming along and being like, do you want to double check that? And I'll tell you what, Flaaffy, I have double checked it, and it turns out I was wrong. Lightning decks aren't going anywhere post-rotation. If anything, lightning decks are getting a huge boost. I mean, we're still losing Pikachu and Zekrom. And losing Pikachu and Zekrom is still a very big deal. But make no mistake about it, this is going to make any other lightning Pokemon just huge. Absolutely huge. I mean, take something like Bolton. Bolton's low-hanging fruit here. Bolton's an easy example. Bolton has got that really nice attack that accelerates 2 lightning energy, which is cool. But it's also got Bolt Storm for 2 energy, 10 damage plus 30 more for each lightning energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So what you really want with Bolton here is a way to just pile lightning energy onto the field. Maybe, I don't know, a stage 1 Pokemon that's got an ability that accelerates 1 energy per Pokemon per turn. And actually, Bolton is a particularly good example here, because Bolton doesn't care where the energy is, and one of the things about Flaaffy, like Electric before it, you can only accelerate to the bench. Which means if you want to accelerate to the active, you've got to get the Pokemon you want on the bench, accelerate the energy, and then move it into the active, which is obviously not a particularly easy thing to do. Well, here you don't need to worry your pretty little head about it. You just build up energy on whoever you gosh darned well like on the bench, and then you smash with your Boltund in the active. Knowing, of course, that when the Boltund goes down, you're not losing much energy. And because you're spreading the energy around, you're good. I mean, when it comes to these Flaaffy decks, your opponent is just going to be trying to take out the Flaaffy. Because when you take out the Flaaffy, you take out the engine. The thing is, it's a stage 1 Pokemon. If they're knocking out one during your turn, you can hopefully get another one going the following turn. There are going to be things like Urshifu, and like Rapid Strike Urshifu is going to be uniquely good against something like this, because it does 120 to 2 Pokemon, and that means you can take out 2 Flaaffy in one go, which is a genuinely big deal. Speaking of genuinely big deals, Flaaffy is not a fan of the fact that Mew is rotating out. And we should get this set about when the rotation hits, so this is essentially a post-rotation set. It's going to be an Evolving Skies, I'm sure you knew that. But it means we're not going to have Mew to protect our bench. As it stands at the moment, we're not going to have anything to protect our bench. We've seen a bunch of spreading cards coming around, so this is a genuinely pretty big deal. Something like Jolteon that hits 100 to the active and 100 to a bench Pokemon with any damage on is going to be able to start running around and taking out these Flaaffy very easily. Jolteon, for what it's worth, has a 2 energy attack, but also it's got Elemental Badge, which is a tool that reduces that by 1 colorless energy. So Jolteon doesn't care about Flaaffy. Jolteon will be hunting Flaaffy. There are downsides to Flaaffy. They are the exact same downsides we had to Electric. And that's what's weird. Because we've had Electric, we've had Bronzong, we've had Malamar. We've seen this before. So we know what's good and we know what's bad. We know that if you can set 2 or 3 of these up, you are going to have some ridiculous decks rolling. And we know that there are going to be games where you brick, where you cannot get multiple Flaaffy out, or games where your opponent is able to take multiple Flaaffy out. And in those games, it's going to be a pretty big deal. One thing I will say, Marip has 60 HP. And alright, fine, 60 HP isn't high, the average nowadays is 70, but bearing in mind when we were rocking with Electric, we had 30 and 40 HP Pokemon, which were very easily taken out. So actually, I'm not saying 60 HP is good. I mean, objectively, it's low nowadays for an Evolving Basic, but it ain't terrible. The other obvious one we've got here is Rayquaza. Now, I talked about this in the previous video. We don't need to go into huge detail here, but it's very much like the old Rayquaza EX, except instead of discarding as much lightning or fire energy as you like, in this case lightning because of Flaaffy, and doing 60 for each you discard as many as you like and do 20 base, plus 80 for each one you discarded. So in the same way that Ray Eels was a top deck back in the day, I expect Ray Sheep to be a top deck moving forward. And I know not everyone is going to agree with me, and I'm absolutely fine with that, but I do believe this is going to be a phenomenal deck moving forward. Bolton is the other obvious one, because you're doing damage based on how much energy you've got on the field. But the thing is, when you're talking about a Pokemon like Flaaffy, it's not just what do we have now. It is what are we going to have at any point in the future before this rotates out. Because any lightning Pokemon that comes around between now and the rotation of Evolving Skies, the Flaaffy set, is going to love this. Is going to absolutely love this. And that's what makes this such a crazy, ridiculous card. I mean, goodness, Pikachu V becomes really good here. 3 energy, 200 damage, discard all energy. But then you just use Electric, Flaaffy, that was a genuine mistake, to put it all back on again. So actually, that then becomes really good. Or Pikachu V Max. 3 energy, 120. If you discard all energy, 270. which is really good, but again, discarding all the energy becomes a little bit of a problem, except it's not a little bit of a problem if you can just get all the energy right back, and that's my point here, ladies and gentlemen. That's my point. It becomes a really, really nice option here. Pikachu is all of a sudden good, and that's kind of ridiculous. And I absolutely love it. And again, there will be plenty more in the future. Now, I mean, Flaaffy's a 5 WotC card. That shouldn't surprise anyone at this stage. We basically got a new version of a card we've seen at least 3 times before, which has been a phenomenal 5 WotC card the past 3 times. That shouldn't really surprise anyone. We should take a little bit of a look at Amfrost while we're here, because it fits into this video better than any others. But like I've said, it's Flaaffy we're getting excited about. Amfrost is kind of here, and that's adorable, but it's not particularly amazing. I mean, we've got 1 energy, 40 damage, flip a coin if heads paralysis, which is fine, but you're not doing enough damage to warrant having a stage 2. Sure, paralysis is fun, and Glimwood Tangle means you get to reflip if you don't hit heads, but on a stage 2, even with the flip for paralysis, I expect more than 40 damage here. It's not a reason to play the card. 4 energy, 100 damage. You may discard free lightning from this Pokemon. If you do, you deal 120 more. People are going to play this. And people are going to play it because of Flaaffy. Now, this attack isn't phenomenal. It's 4 energy, discard 3 of them, 220. It's not great, alright? However, 220 is a magic number to one-hit KO Pokemon Vs. There'll be the odd one here or there that escapes, but generally you'll get Pokemon Vs. And this is still, even with Flaaffy, 4 energy is a lot here. And you're on a stage 2, but essentially there are going to be times you accelerate to Flaaffy just to put the energy somewhere. So when you're doing that, every so often you will get a chance to just evolve up into Amfrost, hit 220, one-hit KO a Pokemon V. I don't think Amfrost is stunning, but I absolutely do think a lot of Flaaffy decks will slide one of these in, purely because it can one-hit KO a Pokemon V, and you're accelerating energy with Flaaffy anyway, so why not? Again, I'm not saying it's a phenomenal card. Let's give it between 3 and 4 WotCs. We don't give half WotCs. That would be barbaric. Certainly, if it wasn't for Flaaffy, I wouldn't like it at all. But we do have Flaaffy. And that means that this is going to see a little bit of a play in the same way that some people teched in Electros into electric decks. Because you're playing electric anyway, and you're accelerating energy, so you might as well. Because it's literally one single card in your deck. Why not, ladies and gentlemen? Why not? But let's make no mistake, Flaaffy is a story here. Flaaffy is phenomenal. Get used to seeing a lot of Flaaffy. I haven't even got to talking about the fact that we could use this in any colourless deck yet. Believe me, I've given you some examples of good partners here. I probably haven't mentioned all the ones we've already got, and there are going to be plenty more in the future. It's kind of broken good. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWotC, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.